So, gentlemen, nice to see you this morning. I bumped into a group of senior women yesterday from Groveland who reminded me that I had this breakfast today, because it was on my calendar for next week. So, I'm really glad I made it. At the risk of boring people, who has never been to this presentation before when I've done it? Who's brand new? Oh, yay! Okay, I don't want to bore everyone that's heard this over and over, but so I'm going to just start with a general description of estate planning. Does anyone have any specific questions before I get started? Where's Walter today? He's not here, huh? He would have kicked it off. Yes?
Estate planning, you're talking about like a will type thing?
Yep.
That you want to pass on?
That's right.
Be specific about it and all that?
Exactly.
I've done that much.
You have?
But, and I have family that I can trust, so I've found that I've turned things over already that I own. What time frame is it now for that? Is
Okay.
it still, it used to be a 3-year, then
5
it was
years.
an 8-year.
5 years.
It's
So we're going
five-
to talk about, there's all different types of estate planning and people have,
That's what I need to know.
what's your first
just
name?
In general, because I just started this.
Okay.
I have a draft of everything and I haven't legally put it together yet, but,
Well, I can help you with that.
okay.
What's your first name?
Roy.
Hi, Roy.
Actually, everybody calls me Skip. Nobody
Skip.
would know my
Okay.
real first name is Roy, but nobody knows me as Roy. Skip.
I'm Elaine and I'm Elaine.
I got it.
You
No
call me
nicknames?
Elaine.
Come on.
So my name's Elaine Dalton. I'm an attorney in Groveland. My office is, you know where my office is?
I do.
Yeah, my office is in the Groveland Business Park.
I've never met you though. I didn't know. Okay.
I'm right in the Groveland Business Park. There's a
I know your
green.
name.
You
Okay.
do. Oh, that's good.
You have a name.
Oh, is that a good thing?
Yeah, good name. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Not a bad thing.
Excellent. I'm in the green office building, right in, if you drive into the Groveland Business Park next to Cafe 97.
Yeah.
It's straight ahead, the green office building, and I'm on the second floor. So if you just kept driving, you'd probably hit it. So there are different goals in estate planning, right? And when you're at different stages in your life, you have different goals. So when clients come to my office, I try to kind of get out of them what their goals might be. So some people at this stage in life are protecting assets from nursing home placement. And there's a 5-year look back on that. What does that mean? I can discuss that in a second. And then there are people who are in my age bracket who aren't really worried about that yet. Our goal is to avoid as many estate taxes as we can and provide for our kids, right? I found a shift. How many people in this room want to provide for their kids and leave something to their kids? Okay, you are the last of that group of people, because the next generation could care less. I have the group of people that are like in their 60s and their early 60s, like, I don't care about my kids, I'm spending all my money. So there's definitely a shift, you know, in ages and the thinking process. So the basic components of an estate plan and why we create one is because we don't want the state to decide who our belongings and our assets and our money and our homes go to, right? Because if you die without a will, or a will that's effective, what happens is it goes through the intestate process, and the court gets to look at the family tree, so to speak, and your spouse doesn't necessarily get everything if you die without a will. Okay? If her name is not on things as a joint owner, and you die without a will, she doesn't get it all. So that's a big problem for your spouse. She's going to be really mad at you if that happens, right? So we want to create at least something simple like a will, which states who we want everything to go to. And if you're married, typically it does go to your spouse in your will. So this is going to get confusing because now a will goes through probate. Everybody heard of probate? It's not a dark and scary place. It's sometimes not a bad place at all. But when you have a joint owner, if you and your wife are on a bank account together, or you and your wife own your house together, those things won't go through probate because the joint owner is the survivor and she'll get everything. She'll get those things. But other assets, if you have an IRA and you didn't name her as the beneficiary, or that you don't have a beneficiary, that will have to get probated. How many people have retirement accounts? Money markets, things like that. Okay, you want to check your beneficiaries and you want to make sure they're all up to date. I've had clients whose spouses have predeceased them, and they forgot to change the beneficiary.
Oops.
Okay, so there's a lot of stuff, you know, in the grieving process, and there's a lot of things that you don't think of. So, you know, I sort of have a checklist to go through, and that's one of the things we talk about. So a basic will, you know, you leave, I call it an I love you will if you're married. You leave everything to your spouse, she leaves everything to you, and then things go to your kids, if that's the way you want them to go. Some people don't want them to go to their kids. So it all depends on what you want, but the beauty of the will is it's what you want, right? And the court doesn't decide that for you. Because if you died without a will and you didn't want anything to go to your kids, it's probably going to end up happening, okay? So that's a simple will. But what happens is if you have a simple will and your wife is in a nursing home and you pass away, you're living in your home in Groveland or wherever you live, and your wife is in the nursing home and she passes away, you just left everything to the nursing home, okay? So at this stage of the game, it's important to review all of your estate planning documents, make sure that your goals are being met, and that you have somebody to, you know, help you and guide you. Mostly an attorney can look at everything for you. So your will is really important. There's another document that's really important, and it's a power of attorney. Does anybody have one? Yes. And is it updated in the last 5 years? Updated.
You have to update that every 5 or?
Nope, the law's changed. So it's important now to update your power of attorney. And does anybody do electronic banking or bill paying or anything like that? Okay, because a power of attorney won't cover that. So say you are incapacitated and you're in a coma in the hospital and you pay all your bills online. Well, your power of attorney can't access your online banking. Okay, you need to have those powers spelled out in the power of attorney. Things change, right? Technology changes, things in our lives change, so it's important to make sure those are up to date. And what does a power of attorney do? Does anybody know? Why do you have one?
It actually authorizes you to sign a person's signature and a lot of other things that they own, but they've authorized you in the case that they're incapacitated, you're allowed to do that.
Right, but it doesn't.
You take over for them
That's
to
right.
to make their decisions for them.
You step into their shoes for all matters financial, but it doesn't just take place when they're incapacitated. Most powers of attorney take place, are effective the date that you sign it. And that is very important because, number one, if you don't trust the person you just made power of attorney, they can buy and sell you. They can sell everything from underneath you. Don't give them the document. That's pretty important. But if, say you're on a trip, say you're in Europe or something, and you have your wife is your power of attorney and your son, but you're with your wife, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I'm running out of money, or my credit cards were stolen, and I need to access my bank account, and I can't do it. I don't have any debit cards or anything over here. Well, if your son is your power of attorney and he's in the United States, he can do that and get you some money.
Yeah.
So there are very practical reasons to have one, and it's not always it's not a document of incapacity. The other thing is if you need to be admitted into a nursing home and you can't make that decision yourself, that document gives your power of attorney the power to do that. And I bet everyone thought it was the healthcare proxy, right? So if you don't have, I had a client, true story, married couple, I probably told this last year. They had a huge value, like net worth was like 3.5, something like that. And he had a massive stroke. He was 64, massive debilitating stroke. Couldn't talk, couldn't write, couldn't move. They had no documents. She had to get a court order. She had to go to court, pay an attorney $6,000 to get a court order to take control and put him in a nursing home. And if she had spent the small money on a power of attorney, it wouldn't have been necessary. So that document totally comes in handy. And most people have one, right? Okay, healthcare proxy. What's that? Everybody have one? Who has one?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me why you have one. What do you need it for?
It's so if in fact you're incapacitated again, you have someone that they can say, okay, unplug it or don't unplug it.
Well, that's true. That's down the line. Let's hope it's not right away. But yes, you're absolutely right. And that is a document of incapacitation. So somebody can't step into your shoes and start making healthcare decisions for you if you can do it yourself.
Right.
But it's for all healthcare decisions. Okay? So those are the main components. Your will, your power of attorney, and your healthcare proxy. Those are the main components of your estate plan. Now, what your goals are determines what kind of a will you'll have, if a trust is needed. Does anybody have a trust? You have a trust, great. Trust, okay. So there's two different kinds of trust. There's revocable and irrevocable. And if you have things in a revocable trust, it means that you have control over it, right? You have immediate control. You're usually the person that puts whatever's in the trust into it. Now, having a trust is like having a vase. If you have a trust document, that's the vase. The flowers that you put in could be your house, could be a money market, could be anything that you put in it. But I had a client come in to me and she said, oh, my dad has a trust. He just passed away, he has a trust. Well, he had the vase, but he never put anything in it. So everything had to go through probate, because having a trust helps you avoid probate as well. So if your house is in a trust, your kids, it won't go through probate to your kids, but that's what the house is gonna ultimately go to. Okay, which is really great because they'll be able to take control of it right away instead of waiting. And go through the probate process. So you have to be aware that if you have a trust, that's awesome, but what did you do with it? What did you put in it? Because she thought her dad put everything in it, and it was an empty vase. So there are two trusts, the revocable and the irrevocable. The irrevocable is the tool that's used to protect assets from Medicaid. If you have a revocable trust, that's not going to protect you. Okay, so again, it depends on what your goals are. You have to look at your assets and think, well, it's cost $12,000 a month to go into a nursing home. So that's $120,000 a year or more, right? $144,000 a year today. Do I have that money? So if you do, that's great. What was that? What?
It's cheaper to die.
It is. It's way cheaper to die. Well, it's true. But say you don't want to. So that's the thing that you need to look at. So if you don't have the money to pay $144,000 a year, and you're placed in a nursing home and you didn't do anything to protect your assets, the nursing home is going to take all your assets. So the nursing home is going to take all of your IRA, your retirement, 401k. It's going to put a lien on your house. You know, it's going to be a lot of fun down the line. So again, it's what are your goals? You know, what are you trying to do? There is a 5-year look back. So if you place anything in an irrevocable trust, you have to stay out of a nursing home for 5 years. It's that simple. Or you pay privately until the 5-year look back has gone away. It's not a good time in your life to start gifting money. My clients come in and say, but I want to give I think it's like $13,500 or $14,000 a year you can do for the gift tax. I want to start giving my money away to my kids. Well, that's great, but it's the wrong time in your life to try to do that. Because if you're gifting money and then you need a nursing home, they're gonna have to come up with the money that you gifted within the 5-year look back if you go into a nursing home. It gets a little complicated. So anyway, what I manage my clients really, it's like I manage my kids. Like I have to keep them in close because I don't want anything to get messed up. So I'm really close with my clients and their kids because their kids are helping them. So we walk them through everything they can and can't do. Does anybody have questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
So for the first 5 years, irrevocable trust and revocable trust are the same thing.
No.
Well,
No, a revocable trust has no look back. There's no protections with a revocable trust at all.
well, it's neither does irrevocable for the first 5 years. Because,
Correct.
So basically it's the same thing,
Okay.
right? Now, if I have an irrevocable trust, do I have control over it? I can leave the vase empty?
You can leave the vase empty, but why would you?
No. If I put stuff in it,
Mhm.
but I need to live, I need to spend on
Then we
scheme of
account,
bills, the whole thing, whatever it is.
well, that's a planning thing.
That's a plan.
That's a planning process that we go through and we talk about and we plan for that. So-
So if I put my assets in irrevocable trust,
Yeah,
do I have any access to it?
I'm on film, so the answer would be no. But, Any other questions? Yes,
What is a nursing home fee? If you turn around and paid for 3 years,
yeah,
then you get 2 years left, you look back.
Yeah.
Now you reduce your look back to 2 years, you start your look back when you pay for the first 3.
no, it has nothing to do with that.
Whatever
It
you.
starts, your look back starts the minute you put an asset in the trust. So if you put your home, a very popular thing to do is to do an irrevocable trust for at least your home, right? Because that's usually a person's biggest asset, and they want to protect it and leave it. Okay, so you created the trust today,
Right.
and the house went in today. There's a 5-year look back on that asset from today.
Right. So I would pay out of my pocket for 3 years, I'd have 2 years that they'd fight for to get money out of my company. If I kept it in my own name.
Yep,
So by paying for 3 or 4 years, you cut the time at the state.
is it in a trust?
No.
No,
You basically, if you started your window, move your money,
to where?
well, however you move it. There's
Okay,
many ways of moving it.
right,
And then you turn around, you got a 5-year window, they're gonna look back.
Yeah.
I started the process of going to nursing home, and I was already paid my first 3 years.
uh-huh,
Now, before they look at me, they'll look at back 5 years from that 3 year, plus the 2 down in there. See what I mean? They'll look back 5 years from that day.
mm-hmm,
So I basically can do what I want for those prior to.
mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying is, you only need 2 years to take
You
it.
kind of lost me.
2 years they can take,
dates.
now, suppose I had a house, suppose I had a house.
Yeah,
They're gonna look at 2 years payment from the house.
oh, because you paid privately for
Privately,
3?
yeah.
Did you transfer it 5 years before
Yeah.
that?
Well,
Or
yeah.
3 years before that?
Yeah,
Okay, you transferred it for
Yeah.
3 years,
right.
and then you have a 2-year window
Yeah,
left.
right.
So they're gonna look for reimbursement for 2 years,
2
that's
years,
exactly right.
That's what I was, yeah.
Okay, we like, same, right church, wrong pew, I was
Right.
like.
I may want to control my life for those 3 years, so I'm a little more brainier.
Yeah.
Like
Okay,
2, I may not want.
okay. So you're right, you're on the right track. Any other questions? Yes,
You got an irrevocable trust, can you add to it later on?
absolutely, but that, it's ticking from that point.
Does it move the window back?
It moves the window on that asset,
Oh, on that?
so on that particular asset.
Okay.
Okay, which is a really good question. So say you put your house in an irrevocable trust, right, and you did it today, which is today, November 5th. So you did it today, 2013. That asset is fully protected, let's say November 6th, 2018, right? But if your property is sold during that 5 years, it doesn't start a new clock on that asset. So the proceeds from that house are still protected as of November 5th, 2013. Say you sold the house November 5th, 2015, and you had $300,000. That still only has 3 more years to go to be protected. You can invest it in another house, you can invest it in a condo, whatever you want. But then once 2018 is up, that asset is fully protected no matter what form it's in.
So how'd you get there, how did you get that money?
Because you sold your house.
But it shouldn't be for your benefit.
It's not. The trust is doing it. The trust sold the
So
house.
trust gets the money, it's still not your money.
That's right, right. But your trustee is gonna buy whatever you tell him to buy. I mean, the
I
house,
don't think you could have control, I mean, you have to write
You
the
don't.
trust document, you can't tell them later on that you want something out of the trust.
you're not entitled to principal out of the trust. It's an income-only trust. But an asset like a house is a different kind of thing. So, but if you had $300,000 in there, period, if you put $300,000 in today, you are not entitled to any of that principal. You can get the income from it, say it made, I don't know, what would 300,000 make?
1%.
Okay, so 30,000 a year, what would it make, 3,000 a year? You're entitled to the income from that, so the trustee could write you a check for the income. Okay, yes,
If your house is in the trust, who's responsible for the maintenance and the upkeep?
you are, because you have a life estate. Yes,
Somebody said that I should watch out the estate don't go over $1 million for tax purposes.
okay, so it depends on what, you said you have a trust.
I have a trust.
What kind?
Irrevocable.
Okay, so if you have a revocable trust, and you have a marital trust, which I'm assuming, do you have a family trust, or do you have a marital trust?
It was a family trust when my wife died. I think she's changed it over now to just me.
To just you. So I would have to look at the trust, all right, because there are types of trusts that arrange for tax ramifications, and there are some that don't.
When I did the trust, the lawyer told me, because my daughter was living upstairs, not to put the house in the trust. It would be the advantage where she was living upstairs. It would help on something to do with if I went to a nursing home. But she's not living upstairs anymore, so that,
So he was thinking of the caretaker child.
a what?
Caretaker
Yeah.
child, yeah. And that's, yeah, okay. It's, caretaker child is when you have one of your children lives with you, it has to be for a period of 2 years or more. And they have to take care of you. They have to show that they take care of you, and you have to show that you pay them. And you have a caregiver contract. It's a lot more difficult to use that exception now.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's been removed.
yeah. Well, you know, I'd be happy to review it for you and let you know what you
Another
have.
one, on a lot of my investments, they have a death enhancement benefit.
Yeah,
So the death benefit is quite a bit higher than the value right
Yeah.
now.
mm-hmm.
Is that increase considered like insurance, not taxable, or is that taxable?
No, it goes into your estate tax. It's all taxed with your
All
estate.
be taxable?
Yeah, it's not an inheritance tax for the person getting it, but it goes in with your estate taxes.
Yeah.
So if your estate rises to $1,001,001, you have to pay estate tax to Massachusetts. If
And
it's
does that go back to
999,000.
zero after that one, or does it start at 1 million?
No, it's
The
1
tax?
million.
Huh?
It's at 1 million.
It starts at 1 million?
So you pay the tax on the 1 million or the amount?
Whatever you
over?
have. If it's 1 million and, you know, whatever it's a million or over, you have to pay a third of that as estate tax.
But that's not true on an irrevocable, is it?
Correct. Well, actually, it is true on an irrevocable.
That they count that as part of your asset?
It depends. I can say it depends. It's probably what you have in it.
How much is
Because
the
you can set
tax?
that aside in the irrevocable trust. What?
What percent is it?
It's a third.
A third
Mm-hmm.
in Massachusetts?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
I know, it's a third.
So you pay a third of $1 million if you were over the million?
Yeah.
You were spending it, didn't you?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I got over $1 million.
Well, live your life. But your life insurance counts too. So like a lot of people, especially in my age group, a lot of people have really high life insurance policies because they have kids, you know, families and stuff. Usually you peter off in the life insurance when your kids get older and, you know, you don't really need it anymore. So I do a lot of what are called irrevocable life insurance trusts to remove that amount of life insurance from the estate so that the tax isn't as great, if at all.
Is there a look-back period on that?
No. Mm-mm. No, it's different. That's a whole kind of different trust. But yeah, no, there's no look back on that. That's just for life insurance. Yes.
How many states have no tax?
Well, I can tell you Florida doesn't. I just looked this up. Florida doesn't. Oh, wait, I just had a whole chart. I can't remember what else. Florida stuck out to me because so many of my clients are by state. You know, they have Massachusetts, Florida, and Maine's a big one too. I don't know if Maine has a state tax. I can't remember. Maybe not. So, any other questions? These are good questions.
Is there any way to escape the state tax?
Don't die.
Maybe.
So
I can't give away all my secrets.
$1,100,000, you're better off to give away the 100,000.
Well, it depends on where you are, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Now, everything's taken into account in estate tax, you know. They don't let you get away with anything.
And that's the first to die?
No, that's the second to die. The first to die gets $1 million waiver. So the survivor. And if you do a marital trust, you're funneling it that way anyway. But usually at this stage, I don't do marital trusts. Yes.
How close do they look at you with your financial activity?
Very close.
Who looks?
Very
It
close.
was just who looks?
Mass Health.
Oh, politicians, they can't see anyway.
Let me tell you, I deal with Mass Health every day. I love them. They are great people, and I'm going to tell you that's the truth. They work hard, but they scrutinize every bank transfer that you have made in the last 5 years, every single one, and they will question it. So, you know, I believe honesty is the best policy. Just throw it all on the table.
Put your IRA receipts and money in your mattress. You got a home.
Is a realty trust, is that different than a revocable or irrevocable?
A realty trust is a type of revocable trust, and it's where you have direct control over all of your property. So you can create the Jones Family Realty Trust, and you can put property in and out of it your whole life. And the nice thing about a realty trust is you can designate who the beneficiaries would be, and that won't go through probate.
How about nursing home?
Nursing home can grab it.
They can?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, I know none of you are going in a nursing home, that makes me very happy. And it might be wise to plan as if you are. And, you know, it's just, it's planning is what it is, right? If you plan your work and work your plan, things come out pretty well. Although, in my life, everything's plan B. All my plan A's never worked. Not for my clients. But my immediate plans. God always has a different way of making my life work out. So, you know, I thought I'd have 2 kids. I have 6. You know, that kind of thing.
Ron had nothing to do with that.
Go ahead. Well, I had a lot to do with that because I've identical twins, so that was a stroke of God.
What will the cost be of say, a irrevocable trust?
Well, it's gonna be more than a simple estate plan, and I actually price everything out for you when you come in.
Yeah.
We do the whole estate plan, so you know exactly what it's gonna cost. It's, you know, and if we do payment plans and everything too in my office, we don't beat you over the head for it. I'd rather you be protected. So I can't really give you a ballpark. Melody does all the pricing for me.
Yeah.
But I can just tell you that it's worth every penny if you're protecting hundreds of thousands of dollars of assets. So it's, you know, but we can talk about that. Good morning. Come on in.
Well,
You need a will?
this morning, sorry about that.
He's whistling. He's happy. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
a comment, we went through this process this summer.
Mhm.
The attorney added another document that allows the family to get information from the doctors.
I have that too. We do that too. That's called a patient authorization. And we do that as well. Because of HIPAA, you know, the Fort Knox and medical records, when you go, you sign about 3,000 pages worth of confidentiality. We do the same thing, and it helps the people that you want to have access to your doctors and your medical records.
A power of attorney will allow you to do that?
Power of attorney will not do that. It's not medical.
So this is this HIPAA thing with the Patient Privacy Act with the, so that's not included,
Not in power of attorney.
wow, okay.
No, medical's different. In New Hampshire, that's not the case. New Hampshire has a medical power of healthcare as well.
Yep.
Anything else? You guys are great, yes.
Yeah, that, you mentioned that estate tax, it's
Mhm.
not enforced in Florida, they don't have it, right?
Mhm.
What happens if you have property in Florida and Maine?
Depends
and
on where you're
here?
domiciled. So it depends on where you're paying your income tax, where you're paying your taxes, where you're domiciled.
Okay.
If you were in Florida, then
So-
you'd have a Florida estate planner do your estate plan.
Oh, so I can't have it done here?
If you're domiciled here,
Oh, I see, okay.
you can, yep. Yep, I have clients that have properties, like I said, all over, and they're domiciled in Massachusetts, so I can do their estate plan. We include their other properties in that estate plan as well. Yes?
All I need is a
Skip.
date and time when I can come and see you, I obviously need.
Happy to help you. I'll have Melody set you up right
I
after.
wanna have I only have one child, my daughter's 45 years old, I have two grandkids,
Mhm.
and I wanna set it up so, I wanna see my grandkids go to college, cause I was never able to, cause there was no money.
Mhm.
And I have the money to fund 2 college accounts, and I'd rather do that than give it to my daughter, cause she doesn't really need it, she's in pretty good shape.
Okay, if she watches this, you know you're gonna be in big trouble.
Okay. Well, I've already discussed
Okay.
this with her, but I need her with me, so I do wanna make an appointment some afternoon.
That's fine, that's great.
I have to at least, I need her input,
Okay.
because it's gonna go through her kids.
That's fine, that's great. We can set you up, no problem. I work on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. I do not work 5 days a week. My husband hates that. But his shirts are clean, yes.
Is the 529 college fund a good thing to do for my great-grandchildren?
I can't really advise you on if it's a good thing to do, because it's your asset.
Yeah.
So if you go into a nursing home, it doesn't go to your grandchildren.
They'll still lose it, really? Yeah.
Anything that you have your name on. Now, if you have, this is the other thing, I
I don't
tell,
plan on spending much time in a nursing home.
nobody does. I'm sorry to say, nobody does, and
They'll
I've
have to
seen that.
carry me in, almost ready to carry me out.
Well, that's what we have your power of attorney for. But I've seen very sad situations where, you know, people are the picture of health, and then the next day, something tragic happens. So, yes.
What is a good state to die in?
Unconsciousness. And just, yes.
There's gotta be, that place is better than Massachusetts.
Florida's one of them.
Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My father just moved to Florida. Not that he has an estate
David
plan, but,
I was
anything
thinking
else?
about where it would be a little more simpler and not as many rules and.
Well, I think it would be warmer. I don't know. I think, you know, you run into issues everywhere, so I don't think there's a perfect place. Yes.
So you have a trust here,
Yeah.
then you go to Florida.
You moved to Florida? You moved?
Well, you change your.
Domicile?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
5 years
You would
from
get
the
a new-
point that you move, or
You'd-
from here?
Okay, so that's a kind of a complicated question. I would have to get with an estate planner in Florida and figure out what the best thing for you to do would be at that point. I'm not sure. Okay, I can't answer that. But I would find out. So, yeah, I'm not gonna tell you I know the answers if I don't know the answers.
Moved everything to Florida.
Any other questions? Gentlemen had great questions today. Okay, so, I serve coffee in my office, that's about it. I don't serve breakfast, but you're welcome to come for a cup of coffee anytime. All right, so thank you for having me, I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to call the office, and you need an appointment, Skip, we'll be happy to set you up. And I'm happy to review documents. You know, I don't charge you to do that. So if you want to come in, and your first appointment's always complimentary, so if you want to bring in some documents for me to review, I'm happy to do that and help you out, okay? Yes?
You also ought to mention, Elaine, that you're over at Town Hall, what, once a month or
I
every other
am,
month?
thank you, Ron,
For
yes.
quick questions.
I am. I have hours that I scheduled with Lynn. I volunteer once a month for an hour, 15-minute increments. Of course, I stay later if there are other people that need to see me. But I volunteer, so if you have a question, and you know, I see people on anything, really. It's not just estate planning. It's contracts or, you know, tenant questions, you know, things like that. So I'll help out if I can. So if you'd like to come in
And
those
it's in the
days.
newsletter when you're gonna be there.
Thank you. Can I take you around with me?
Keep his speech going smooth.
He's awesome, yeah. Thank you very much. So, any other questions before I bid you farewell? Adieu? Yes. Oh, thank you. And thank you so much for having me. Okay? If there's something I didn't cover, just pick up the phone and call me. All right? I'm pretty accessible. Thank you.